when I started in the business, I got very, very excited about the opportunity. The opportunity to build my own business, to hire people, to get free, to make a lot of money, to quit my job, to help people, to be somebody, to get onto the right side of the quadrant. And naturally, and this may not be the case for everybody. I started here, I was 23 years old. I lived at home. I wasn't very good in my own personal finances. I had some debt. I had some bills and collections. My credit was all jacked up. Um, so I got in the company to learn. Most of the people that I knew were young and single like me, so I didn't have a great market. I did have my parents' friends, but my parents are significantly older, so their friends were a lot older than me, and I just didn't have a great market. So recruiting came very natural for me, and I was very good at talking about the opportunity. I've always been kind of a person that always went to places with a group of people. I'd always roll very deep everywhere, go to the movies, go to a party, go play basketball. I'd always say, hey, come on, meet me at the court. And I was good at assembling a group of people. Always. I was always really good at that. So I was great at getting people to come down to the office, look at the opportunity. But something just didn't click in my business. Something just wasn't there. I had a group of people, I had a lot of people, but something just wasn't there. And you learn things throughout your career, and they can literally, they're life changing. They change your life. And what I'm going to talk about today, protecting a family, when I learned how to protect a family, that changed my life. When I learned how to present, ask questions, quote, run a triplicate, explain the process, balance the dynamic between the husband and the wife, or whatever it was that I was doing. And I could get that client to write a check or give me their banking account and routing number, and I was able to make a sale. That changed my life. That it gave me confidence. I felt so good, closing business, helping somebody in an important need. And then you guys know this, in last year, in the last 12 months, it's just been insane how many people have passed away. And I've never, ever, 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 ever met a client and met their family and talked to them, and they said, man, they left me too much life insurance. I've never, ever met anybody. They never felt that way. And it's like me, right? I have a business. I do the right things with my money. It's like every year or every other year, I increase my own policy. Always. I always do it. Because I'm just like, man, if something happened to me, what would my wife do, right? I need credit for a contest and all that stuff too. But I increased my policy. It's like I got millions and millions. You guys know, I spend $4,000 a year for life insurance. $4,000 a year. And every time a client calls or I get an email from the company said, hey, one of your clients has passed away. We need you to deliver this claim. We need you to assist the client. And I always think, man, we need more people like us going out and telling people our story and protecting families. I know you're doing it because, your leadership team is pushing you. It's month end. There's an incentive. There's a trip. There's qualifying, there's a promotion. But I'm telling you, man, when you understand what we do and how important it is, and I love investments, I love everything that we do about the business, but there's no substitute for life insurance, man. There's just none. And I just see it so much more and more, especially as I get a little bit older. And my clients have been 10, 15, 20 years now with our company. And you see its importance. And this is a game changer, right? If you get great at protecting families, and you can start doing 5 to 10 a month on your own through referrals, through emergency contacts, through internal consumption, through prospecting, you can quit your job. You can make a living. And then if you teach a few other people to do that, not one or two. Now, one or two is great and you can be part-time and that's awesome. But think about that. You get 5 or 10 a month, you can quit your job. And if you teach a few other people like that, you can have a base shop. You can make 100, 200, 300, 400, $500,000 a year. And you can have override income, passive income based on the production of your team, because you're fundamentally sound and you're very good and you believe in what we do. And that's why I wanted to dedicate a training just on the mentality of life insurance. I put a quote in my presentation, by probably the most underrated person in our company is a guy named Rick Susie. He's probably the most underrated, successful. He doesn't have any audios, really doesn't have many tapes. He was the quickest person to 200, like his first year in the business, he made over 230, like from IBA, made $230,000, $42,000, not like first year RVP. I mean, first year in the business. And since this is back in the 80s, early 80s, I mean, he has, Gary Cornegay, $2 million earner, Alex McInvan, 1 point something million dollar, Mark and Sue Younger. These are all direct to him. And he said, this is the greatest, one of the greatest quotes in Primerica history. He says, you want a big premium hierarchy. You want a big premium hierarchy. And that means you got a lot of productive people that know what to do, that are making money, team cash, protecting families every single day. All right. Now, I was really bad in the beginning. I couldn't close the door. I really couldn't. I wasn't, people probably buy the policy from me for pity, and then after a few months they let the policy go, and it was a punch in the gut, because I'd worked so hard to get to that appointment, and I wasn't good. So if you are in that position where you feel like a lot of people are not saying yes, okay, you can make a couple tweaks and adjustments and get good at our business. Everything, if you're at the bottom, you can only go one way. You can only go up. But they can never, ever replace your passion and excitement for what we do. Always remember that. And I know life insurance gets a bad name because of all the companies out there that are doing the wrong thing for people. However, it is the foundation. It is the most important thing. And it is our responsibility, if somebody has dependents and kids especially, that people get protection. So there are only 5 possible scenarios on an appointment. I go through this all the time. And I call it the 5 big mistakes. I've worded it a little bit differently today. But they have 0 life insurance. I usually say, they don't make it a priority, but now what I'm trying to get you guys to understand is they have 0 life insurance. Think about that. You meet a lot of clients. They have nothing, 0, nothing at all. They have no money, they have debt, and they have 0 life insurance, none. Okay, if we come into that scenario, we got to get them to get some coverage. They have the wrong type of life insurance, cash value, permanent life insurance. 3, they don't have enough of the right type of life insurance. They're underprotected. They're inadequately protected. They are relying on group insurance through their job. They're depending on group. And they may have the right type of life insurance, but it's with the wrong company. It's from a cash value company. Okay. So they don't make life insurance a priority. They treat it as a luxury. They depend on group life. They're buying cash value. They're buying term from a cash value company, or they're not having enough. Okay. And I put the priority, I changed that to have zero life insurance. Okay. I think it's always not a priority for them, but they have zero life insurance. Success comes from knowing exactly what to do in each of these 5 scenarios. Okay. So when we go into the appointment and we go throughout our presentation, there are many different instances where we approach the subject of life insurance. Now, we could do it on different ways. We could do it through the disappearing man, or we could do it on the house. We can do it in the insurance quadrant, and we can do it in just general dialogue with the client. But your ability to teach them why they need it and what will happen if they don't have it is going to determine how many checks you get and how good you are at this. So I just have some questions in here. They're in different order. They're different parts of the presentation. Some of them are just general stuff that you just need to know. And some of these are questions within the presentation, right? In your opinion, what is the purpose of life insurance? I always ask people, why do you need life insurance? Why do you think people need life insurance? And they're going to say something, I want to leave something for my family if I die. I want to pay off the mortgage. It's to protect my family. Those are great answers, but it doesn't mean they really understand what life insurance is. And in our data collection process, we have these questions where we explain what auto, home, and cell phone insurance, and usually people have used it. Hey, have you ever had to use your car insurance and pay your deductible? What happened? What'd they do? They fixed their car. They fixed your car. I don't know if you've ever had this, but have you ever had to use your homeowner insurance policy to fix your roof or something, a fire, anything? What happens? They fix your house. They replace your house. I'm sure you've had this. Have you ever used your cell phone insurance? What happens? They replace. We always want that. Replace. Because that's what we're looking to do. If you died today, how soon would your income stop? Today. And which of your family's bills would stop? And what exactly would happen to your family if you died today and your income stopped, but none of your bills stopped? And you got to get them to elaborate, right? I was talking to somebody. This is not funny, okay? It was just they didn't want to say it, and I didn't say it like I'm saying it into the computer, okay? I want you to understand that I'm not. I don't yell at my clients. I never yell at my clients. I don't raise my tone of voice to my clients. I don't even give them a look, right? If I have to look, right, if I give them a stank eye, I stop my video. Now I'm glaring at them and giving them all sort of sign language. All right. When I turn on my video though, I'm smiling. Right. So I have a very good poker face when I'm with my clients, right? But I was talking to the client, and you have to elaborate on this. I said, okay, well, if something happened, how would you pay your rent? How would you pay your mortgage? And what would happen if you can't pay it? And they go, it's a problem. And I go, yeah, but what would happen? And they go, yeah, it's a major problem. They understood it, but I said, and I didn't say it like this, but I said, you'd be homeless. Like if you don't, and they were like, they kind of were like, they were taken aback. And I go, no. What I mean by, if you don't have enough money to pay the rent or the mortgage, you can't afford the house, what happens? And that's what being homeless is. And I didn't want to, my job was not to, but, you know, I want to explain, like, if you don't have enough money to pay your necessities, food, shelter, water, and the bills that your family are accustomed to having being paid so they can live the lifestyle that you've accomplished, everything's going to crumble. Now, like I said, I don't say it like this, but you have to ask. You have to ask these questions. What exactly would happen to your family if you died today and your income is gone? You don't have an income, but your bills keep coming. And you ask, and sometimes, right, you have to make sure they understand that part of it. Could you live in this house? Okay, so you'd have to move. And what type do you think you get a similar house on one income? Or and you don't say it in a mean way, and but you're genuinely concerned, because remember, right, this can all be prevented for, like, depending on the person, $50, $100, $150 a month. You get a client at the right age. I mean, you can get, I quoted somebody just, it was like 500-600,000 for like $52 a month. I was like, this is free, $50. That's not even like 2 dinners out. That's 2 Chick-fil-A's, right? I got a family of 5. You have Chick-fil-A twice is $50. It's not even dinner. $50, like $500,000-$600,000 of coverage for your kids. And if you were to die today, would you want your family? And like I said, these questions are not in order. I just, you when you ask them, there has to be something behind the question. Your words can't be hollow. You can't just go through the motions. And if you were to die today, would you want your family to live better, the same, or worse? Now, when I started, and I first started, and I'm not saying, like I said, you don't have to be the Grim Reaper on the appointment. I don't want you to only bring, tragedy and devastation to every appointment. Okay. This is just the insurance part of it. But I'd use too many euphemisms, right? I'd say, oh, if you were to go away, if you were to go to heaven, and stuff like that. And I'd say that. I promise you, I'm not making that up. I would say things like that. And it didn't ever strike the right chord for the family. So, now when I say, if you were to die today, and I say it just like that, if you were to die today, I don't emphasize the word die. I don't say it like more, but I do say die, right? Because I want people to know that, right now you have no protection, or your family could be at risk. And, this is a very serious issue. So that's why I put that word in there. And that's why it's in our question. Not so, like I said, you really emphasize that word and yell that word or anything like that, but so they know, right, that it's important. Who is your life insurance with, right? Now, if they have a policy, what do you like best about your current policy? Is it the savings? Is it the protection? Is it, do you have any attachment to the agent? All that stuff. We find that everyone greatly benefits by allowing us to evaluate their existing life insurance program. I promise that we would never ask you to change any financial program unless there is a significant advantage for you, and that advantage is completely obvious to you. I would never, ever ask you to change anything unless there was a great advantage for you to do so. Understand. Then you ask the commitment question. If it were possible, you could significantly improve your current life insurance program. For example, double your protection for the same money or get the same protection for half the money. Do you have any emotional attachment to your current company or agent that will prevent you from making a change? Always have to ask this question. Great, run and get your policy. We do an accurate cost benefit comparison. Fair enough. Do me a favor, grab your policy, right? I will say that. Do me a favor, grab your policy. I know this is a little bit more difficult over Zoom because you're not physically there with the person. If not, you always have to do a policy analysis. Always have to schedule another time to do the policy. There are some circumstances where you can close the policy without having it because the client knows they don't like this type of policy. They want to reduce their cost. But more than not, you have to do a policy analysis and you have to do a side-by-side comparison. Okay, if they don't have a policy. Okay, when I meet a family that's underprotected, not protected, I always usually do one of the following 3 reasons. They didn't think they needed it. They didn't think they could afford it. They just haven't got around to it. Tell me why you say your family's not protected. Which one of these describes you? Would you say it's unimportant, important, or very important to properly protect your family in the event of an untimely death? Is protecting your family important enough to you that you would be willing to set aside some money each month to take care of this? So if we can put together a program that's affordable for you, is there any reason you wouldn't implement that plan? Okay, all these questions are in the data collection. Group insurance. This is where I'm from, in the Northern Virginia, DC metropolitan area. This is the biggest hurdle for getting life insurance checks. It's always group insurance. Okay, here is the copy of the actual state employee group certificate. Something I've been doing, and it's easier on the presentation, is asking people to read this paragraph. I say, who is eligible for life insurance? You are eligible if you are an eligible retiree as defined in the group policy or as an eligible employee. And you meet the actively at work requirement as shown in the section entitled, what is the actively at work requirement? And I say, can you read this for me? I say, to be eligible to become insured or receive an increase in the amount of insurance, you must be actively at work, fully performing your customary duties for your regularly scheduled number of hours at the employer's normal place of business or at other places the employer's business requires you to travel. If you are not working due to illness or injury, you do not meet the actively at work requirement. And then I might ask the client, right? And I do this all the time when I'm doing the group, because remember this about group, you only really have one shot to unload on group, and you have to absolutely annihilate group. This is where I lose all. If I lose or miss a sale, it's always to group. If they have cash value, I can always replace it. If they have term, I can replace it. If they have no protection and I can find the money, I can get a couple. But I lose, this is me personally, I lose most of my policies, checks to group. And so my mission is trying to perfect how to destroy group. So I asked the client, Mr. Client, why do you feel that this is written in this way? And they'll say, well, yeah, because there's some gotchas there or something like that. I said, yeah. I said, have you ever known somebody that got sick and then couldn't work and then died? And then you might tell a story. Have you ever known somebody to get in an accident, not be able to work, goes to the hospital, and then die? Have you ever met? Does that happen a lot? Yeah, and I get them to talk about it. Your group policy is inexpensive, isn't it? Right? They say it's free. It's $2 a month. See, if you don't get them to say it out of their own mouth that their group policy is worthless, when you run a quote, you're infinitely higher because they feel their group has some value. That's why you have to destroy the value of the group insurance. Your group policy is inexpensive, isn't it? Now that you understand the active at work requirement, do you understand why it's inexpensive? Yes. Why? And it's not enough. Why exactly? I want to have this conversation with them because the odds of you dying at work, on the premises, suddenly, right? Some group policies, you have to die on the property. So the odds of you dying at your work while you're actively at work, meaning you're not sick or instead extended illness or on any disability, is so low. That's why they give this to you. I said, did you ever do any underwriting for your? Did they even ask you any questions? They take your blood, your urine. They check anything? No. I said, you know, that's why. And I explain it to them. So wouldn't you agree that it's critically important for your family to be fully protected whether you're able to work or not? So wouldn't you agree that it is critically important for your family to be fully protected whether you're able to work or not? You must have excellent scripts. Okay. You got to know all of your questions. You know, some of you guys are really privileged. You guys are being trained by some of the best people in the company. I mean that. You're getting field trained by people that write 5 to 10,000 a month, that make 5 to 10 to 15, 20,000, 30,000 in a month. And they are life insurance pros. They can close anybody on a life insurance application. They can destroy group. They can read the policies. You guys got to take advantage of these trainings. Okay. When I got trained, okay, I witnessed 19 training sales in training now. And it was cool because I was, with my trainer at that appointment. My trainer was sitting right next to me. And I would write down all the questions they have. And I look at how we go through the policy, and we take the policy back to the office. I say, what did you read? What happened with this? And by the time I was out of training, I still didn't have the confidence and the passion and the experience, but I had the fundamentals. And then when certain things clicked and a client passed away, or I got my first sale and I got a notch under my belt, and I just started, snowballing with confidence, man, I could rely heavy on my training, and my trainer was unbelievable. But some of your trainers are way better than him, especially in this area of the business. And with our presentation and the animation and the technology and the videos and we never had a group script, a group policy that we could bring onto the appointment. Now we can bring it on, we can highlight it, we can make it bigger, we can make the client read it. There's so many. We can show a video, we can have testimonies, we can have all these things we could never do before. But because we couldn't do that, you got great at asking questions. You got great at reading the client. The tools and resources that are available to you are incredible, but you still got to set your appointment. The difference between a bad actor with a bad script versus a good actor and a great script is what exactly? Think about that. That's the difference between someone that makes $20 million a movie and someone that does one movie and then's never in a movie again. You got to know what you're doing. If you don't have excellent scripts, you must invest enough time writing or learning excellent scripts. In our business, it's not a script of sentences, it's a script of questions. That's why I always teach, when we teach life insurance, I teach the green lights, I teach the questions, I teach the theory. All I teach you guys is questions, questions, questions. When to advance, when to sit back, when to talk fast, when to talk slow. These questions are the most important thing in our presentation, especially when talking about life insurance. A pre-written, memorized, well-delivered set of questions delivered in the exact same way, in the exact same order every time. In this way, every sale is the same each and every time. Goal, you want to build a huge premium hierarchy. You want to build a huge premium hierarchy. Okay, so one of the questions is, can you talk about how to get across the importance of someone who has no spouse, no kids, in regard, and I'm assuming you're talking about life insurance. So if there, obviously you guys, if you ever heard an audio that Christian David did with us a long time ago, it's night and day if someone does not have kids. Okay, it is night and day. You can't communicate this the same way if someone's not married and does not have kids. Okay, if someone has kids and does not have life insurance, I'm telling you right now, it's your obligation and duty to go hard on that client. Now, when I say go hard, that doesn't mean get in an argument or confrontation or belittle or demean. Okay, which I say those things because I have done those things consciously or subconsciously before, and it never worked because I would try to get so excited and I was frustrated and I couldn't question people. But if someone does not have kids, you got to do the lock-in theory. If they're young, qualify while you're healthy. And maybe if they're an agent, you can't sell something you don't own. If someone asks you a question, and they say, Gabe, how much insurance do you have? There's only one right answer, right? Or what coverage do you have? Or, you have this right. There's only one right answer. There's never, ever, there's no right answer for not having it. Okay. But you have to be very careful with that. Okay. Because when people don't have kids and they don't have a spouse, the need is gray and you can only go the lock-in and the rate. But, most of us, we should always be sitting down with qualified people, at least, that have young children. They have some sort of dependence. My trainer was really good at this, Marin. He would find a dependent, or do your parents depend on you? You share a house with your brother. You both are on the mortgage. Is that a dependent? So, you got to find the dependents, but it is not even in the same galaxy of somebody that has young children. Okay. If somebody has young children, I mean, I'm really tough on them. I mean, I'm really tough on them. I mean, when I say tough on them, it's going to it might get a little awkward in that appointment if they don't want to have it, because I'm going to ask a few questions and I'm going to ask them, why they're not protected. And, it's just going to get to that point. Right. So, but not in an unprofessional way. It's going to get a little awkward. Right. So I'm giving you permission there because you got to be tough on the parents. That is a good question. Do you ask them if they care about their family? Sure, I do. I don't ask them like that. Right. But I do ask them. And if I had to ask them, I would. Right. I hope it doesn't get to that point. And what do I mean by that? I'm going to give Gabe 100 softballs to hit out of the park. I'm throwing him a bunch of alley-oops, man, where he can save face and look great in front of his wife and kids. Because the appointment should be copacetic, right? We should protect this family together. But I'm not. So yes, I'm not. The first thing I'm saying, you don't care about your family, do you? I'm not going to say that, but I'll ask them questions. Say, if something happened to you, you want your family. Gabe, you've worked really hard to get to where you are, right? Obviously, you've done very well, right? I'm stroking him, right? I'm giving him some ego. I'm patting him on the back. You've worked really hard. Now, if something happened to you, you want your family to still be able to, for what you've worked so hard to get to, you'd want them to at least be able to have this standard of living, correct? And he'd say, sure. So obviously you care about your family. Now, the reason you don't have protection is because, and I would say that I give them every opportunity. And I would be assumptive. I say, I know you care about your family. I always say that to people. I know you care about your family. I'm putting that in there, right? There's no reason you don't have this insurance because you don't care. It was just something you overlooked. It was a blind spot no one had explained to you, or it's procrastination. But I'm here right now. Your prayers have been answered. Let's get this application done. But I'm going to give them every opportunity to look great in front of their family. Because if I'm confrontational with Gabe, it's just not going to go well, right? It's just not going to go well. I'll be right, but I ain't going to be submitting that night. I'm not going to be closing the business. I can be right, and I'll leave there feeling, okay, hey, I knew all my lines, but at the end of the day, I didn't get the job done. I didn't get a close. And that's the best feedback that you're doing a good presentation is you got to close. Now, are there some clients you can't close? Sure, there are. And if I ask Gabe stuff and I say, hey, Gabe, right now, based upon what you've told me, you have, $11,000 saved up and you haven't really started your 401k, so you have nothing there. Your monthly living expenses are $6,000 a month. You have no coverage whatsoever. And I know you said that you want to protect your family. You would set aside money every month for this. You want your family standard of living to be better, at least the same, if not better, if something happened to you. So if something happened to you today, if you were to die today, you have 2 months of monthly income. What would happen to your family? And I go through that whole scenario. And if he says to me, well, they can stay with my brother, yeah, then I'm gonna go in on him. I'm not gonna go on and on like where, but I'm gonna ask him questions. I'm gonna ask him to defend the state because I do want to feel good about myself, and I want to see how I'm gonna come up against this again. So I want to practice and see how far I can push this. Not because I want to get thrown out or make it awkward. I want to see. And so I'll ask that question. So okay, so your brother, what does your brother do for a living? He's a school teacher or he's a principal. Okay. And is he married and they have kids? And okay. And how many kids they have? 4? Okay. So do you feel like taking your wife and your 4 kids, he'd be able to do that financially? Wouldn't you rather have the protection? He could still take care of them, but at least the finances would be taken care of. At your age, your health, you know that life insurance could be very inexpensive. It could be like the money you waste every single day or every single month, or not even every single month, but half the month. You waste $400 a month. It would be even maybe a week. What you waste in 1 week could protect your family forever. Were you aware of that? No, I wasn't. Whatever. And I'm going to go on them. I'm going to ask them politely. I'm going to talk to them sweetly and kindly. But I'm going to be firm and I'm going to ask questions and I want to see why he's saying this stuff. And you're going to get it all. My brother, they can live with my parents. They can go back to their country. Okay, so you came here, you fled your country, you came here, right? For whatever reason, for a better opportunity, you are a refugee, whatever it is. And if something happens to you upon a parent's death, you want to send your family back. Right? And I won't say it just like that, but I will say it because I want them to know what you have just said is really, really stupid. And it makes 0 sense whatsoever. I want to wait. Okay, well, as you wait, it gets more expensive. You could become uninsured. And I'm going to answer all those questions. It's the best time to do it is right now. It's the cheapest, this, that, right? And you go through it and you learn how to close it. And there is no better feeling in the world knowing, and I don't know this number for you, that Every 2 or 3 qualified appointments you sit on, you're getting a check. There is no, then Primerica becomes a money-making machine. That, man, if I'm on 3, I'm getting a check. I might get 2. And if I'm feeling good, if I'm, Steph Curry, I'm going 3 for 3 tonight. But there are going to be a lot of stumbles. There's going to be a lot of failures. There's going to be a lot of setbacks. There's going to be a lot of stumps. There's going to be a lot of frustration. That is normal. You got to get through it in order to get good. Hundreds of appointments. Hundreds. You need to become an appointment junkie and a prospecting junkie. You're always trying to set appointments with everybody. I have kids, right? You guys know this. I have kids. And, my kids to this day, my son's 11, right? They still don't understand what I do, right? They're sitting in the kitchen. They're, they hear me yelling, like, what are you yelling? What are you doing? What is that? Coming out. What do you do, Dad? They don't understand, right? I don't even know what I do, really, right? So I can't even explain it to them. But it's funny. When I tell my kids I have an appointment, we all get our game face on. It's the coolest thing in the world. I'm like, oh, no, I got an appointment tonight. You guys stop, right? Training, I don't even prepare them like that. If they come in here, I don't want them to do, stuff on Saturday, that first 15 minutes, just give me fit. But if they come here, whatever, right? You meet my kids, whatever, it's fine, right? I mean, I don't want to do it as it's super professional. No, but I run the joint, so I don't care, right? It doesn't matter. It's not like I'm in a job interview and my kid's coming in and I have to apologize for them. I really could care less. But if it's an appointment, I do tell them, look, Daddy has an appointment. And they're already conditioned, okay, it's game time. Daddy's going, he's getting on the Zoom, he's going to try to make some money. And if he comes out of the appointment and it's good, I'm probably going to get some toys today. That's what they think. And that is what happens. If it's good and we close, we go right to Target, right? Shopping spree. Let's go. Get it quick, right? Because that's the feeling of, hey, if I go on 2 or 3, I'm getting paid tonight. No mystery. Not I got to go pick up a part-time job. Not any of that. Not I got to beef up my resume. If I said 3 qualified, I'm getting paid. Best feeling in the world. Takes a lot of practice. You got to get really good at it. Got to qualify your appointments. But man, it's the greatest feeling ever. Because when you can learn how to create an income from a license or a presentation and do it through quality training, man, and you could train somebody else, best thing in the world. Best thing in the world. Best feeling ever. Cannot be replicated. Cannot be replicated. So anyways,